Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a pleasure to follow the Right Honourable Gentleman Member for Hayes and Harlington, and I'd like to thank him for his support for my private member's bill, which I'm going to touch on briefly today. But my thanks primarily go to the Minister, who was generous in her remarks earlier in opening this session while talking about my campaigning efforts to improve water quality of our rivers, which I wish to talk to today under Part 5 of the bill, and in particular in support of Amendments 3 to Clause 78 and Amendment 42 to Clause, 42 is to 78 and 3 to Clause 82. It's been clear to me for many years, but in particular this year, as I have been campaigning to improve water quality by reducing sewage pollution to our rivers, how significant this issue tragically has become, how many people have been in touch with me and through campaigning groups, all urging the government to get behind my bill. And I would just like to say how delighted I was on Friday when I was unable to be in the chamber debating my private member's bill because sittings had been suspended, that instead, as something of a consolation prize, the Minister announced the government's support for the aims of my bill, and I look forward to a second consolation from the unfortunate development today that we hear that this environment bill will now be deferred until the next parliamentary session, and invite the Minister to use that time to work with me to bring into appropriate legislative and regulatory space the many measures in my bill which have got such significant support from 135 members of this House today from across the aisle. And I hope when she responds to this session, she will be able to give some encouraging noises to give me hope that that will indeed happen. And I'm also grateful to her for establishing the Storm Overflows Task Force, which is the mechanism through which she's seeking to get advice from industry and campaigning groups to try to identify the measures that need to be undertaken. Through the Environmental Audit Committee, we've launched an inquiry into water quality. We will be providing recommendations to the government. The delay may mean that we are in a position to provide some recommendations through that committee prior to the bill appearing in the other place. And I very much hope that she will be able to use this time to introduce relevant amendments to this bill in the other place as it goes through passage through the Lords. We also hope to provide some help in assessing what are the suitable water targets under this bill, which are so welcome through the drainage and wastewater management plans laid out in the bill. I just very briefly also like to mention my support for the Honourable Member for Broxbourne in the measures that he will be coming on to talk about shortly, I'm sure. And finally, to say to to the Minister that I also support the initiative of my right honourable friend, the member for Epsom and Ewell, whose new clause 4 is widely supported by my constituents, not least members of the British Hedgehog Preservation Society, which is based in my constituency, and who acknowledged the inclusion in July last year on the red list for British mammals of endangered species of the hedgehog.
Thank you. After the next speaker, we will have to reduce the time limit for backbench speeches to 3 minutes, but with 4 minutes. Sir Charles Walker.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise to speak to my amendment, Amendment 3 on Clause 82, signed by myself and 16 other colleagues.